All right, so we're gonna go over really quickly the free agency moves that's happened so far. Free agency started about a day ago, so we're still kind of getting through everything. Some things are not official. Some trades have been agreed upon, but have not been completed. So we're gonna start from the bottom on the NBA tracker here. Obi Toppin returns to the Pacers on a 4-year, $60 million deal. It's pretty lucrative. Obviously as a Knicks fan, seeing Obi, know what he has to bring to the table: energy, high motor offense. His three-point shooting is getting better. No passing, no rebounding, very limited defense, and he's a bench player. So it's pretty pricey for backup. But I think this is the modern NBA. They locked him up. What does that say about everybody else on the roster? I think he's locked in as the backup 4. So they have a draft pick that they have to consider. But, it looks like Obi's the guy going forward. Christie here returns to the Lakers. I was surprised at this deal. I think it's about $30 million, give or take, over 4 years. He's not played much, so I don't know if he's been included in this offer. I mean, has been given this offer so that he can be put in a package later on, or if they have belief in him as a young player. But this is not the mindset of what LeBron wants, which is ready veteran players that can compete for a championship. Max Christie still has a way to go. He's shown promise, but I don't know exactly what the thinking on this deal is. Cornette returns to Boston. So, this is a nice piece. He's pretty mediocre in about every single facet. He's a shooting big man. He spaces the court. They can use him now because KP's going to be out for at least maybe until Christmas, because of the surgery that he had on his leg. So they're going to need a size here. So it doesn't, really do much other than keep continuity, keep the team moving forward. Porter Jr. was a surprise. I thought after he beat up his wife, girlfriend, whatever, that his career was over. They are giving him a minimum deal. And you'll see later on as to why. I mean, obviously we know that Paul George has left, so they need some scoring power. I am not against a lot of the moves that the Clippers have made. I feel like they're under the table, but they still have maintained their depth. They have a lot of talent there. And Paul George, would shit the bed in playoffs all the time anyway. I think he was a little bit clunky with Kawhi Leonard, so it was a massive failure. So adding Porter Jr. allows them to retain some of that scoring. He can give you 15 points in a pinch, 20 points here and there. We know he can score, but his off-the-court problems, has he moved past it? Whatever. We'll see how it goes. Mason Plumlee goes to the Suns. This is a nice little depth piece. Again, the Suns, because of that all-in trade with Kevin Durant, and they lost a lot of their pieces, lost a lot of their depth last year. And then this is why I feel that they lost, was because they didn't have enough depth on the interior, especially on the interior. So Mason Plumlee is a vet. He throws elbows. He rebounds. He'll break his nose once or twice in a season. This guy is a rugged player, and he adds a lot to the team. This one I really like. Najee Marshall got a 3-year, $27 million deal with the Mavericks, and it replaces Derrick Jones, who they lost, surprisingly. But Najee Marshall is just, he was in New Orleans. He was kind of like stuck behind that depth chart of Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III. So they had a lot of small forwards and a lot of those kind of players that they had to give time to. Think of Brandon Ingram. But this guy's a dog. When he signed Josh Hart, if you look at the tweet, said, he's a dog, but this guy is relentless on the ball. He's a very physical person, and he is perfect for the Mavericks. He's going to do all the dirty work that Luka and Kyrie will not. So I really like this pickup. Eric Gordon going to Philadelphia, back to Daryl Morey, who he played under in Houston. This is a very interesting deal. Sixers lost a lot of players because of free agency, and they had like $60 million in cap space. They had to use it. He's getting a $3 million deal, so his time is almost over. This guy at any given game can give you 20 to 25 points, so it's good backup player for the Sixers. He's not frazzled by pressure. He's going to play well in the playoffs, and he's a good player. He can do a little bit of everything. He has a good size, so we'll see how it goes. Valanciunas with the Wizards, I did not see coming. I guess this is more of a money situation. Nobody else wanted to pay him. He had a 3-year, $30 million contract, which is way below market value for a decent center. I don't know what his agents were doing here. I think he could have gotten a better deal if they waited, because a lot of the centers went early. So I'm not sure about this deal. I'm not a fan of it, either on the fit on the team. He's helping a young team, but also his market value. I felt he could have gotten $5 to $10 million more in the open market. I don't know what happened here. Drummond is coming back to the Sixers. This is a big deal because Embiid plays, half of the games usually. So you're going to need a big size. Drummond, remarkably, is still one of the best rebounders in the game, despite being a veteran of, over 10 years, give or take. He's been in the league for a long time. So, you can plug and play him right away as a starting center. Not for multiple minutes, but he could definitely start in a pinch. And he's a very good backup, elite rebounding, elite blocker, very, very good player. His free throw, his offense is garbage, but he does everything else. I don't know who that is. Love, as expected, was going to go back to the Heat. Veteran presence, doesn't do much. Maybe averages 6 points a game, but he's gold in that locker room, and he's kind of like taking over the UD vet on a team. He will bark at a rookie or a young player that gets out of line. So I like this. Oubre Jr., he had not many options. He goes back to the Sixers. He had a really good last season with the Sixers. He started a few games. He spreads the floor. He can hit the three. He can score in a bunch. He can score up to 30 points on any given night. Lefty, little chippy, but I like his motor. I think him going to the Sixers is a good idea. I was surprised that Derrick Jones Jr., they did not have the money to re-sign. So he's getting a 3-year, $30 million deal. I guess they felt more Najee Marshall, because Najee can guard the 3 and the 4. Derrick Jones can only guard 2s and 3s. So maybe they felt they needed a little bit more rebounding. But I'm surprised that he went to the Clippers. He's going to be a good replacement for Paul George on the perimeter for defensive purposes. His 3-point shot has gotten better. And he's a rim runner, so James Harden will be throwing him a lot of lobs. I like the move. Again, this is adding pieces to the Clippers, who lost Paul George. I like the move. Caldwell Pope. Now, this is a big ripple here, because he's leaving the Denver Nuggets. And again, I don't understand why the Denver Nuggets did not want to offer this guy money in the free agency. They're saying it's the salary cap, it's this and that. But they've offered some terrible contracts. Michael Porter Jr. is being overpaid. Thinking of Zeke Naji. So Zeke Naji's been, he got a 4-year, $30 million contract. It's an awful contract. Michael Porter Jr. got an awful max contract as well. So you lost Caldwell Pope, who was a starting guard on your team that helped you win the championship. Also won a championship with the Lakers. Is this a canary in the coal mine? And maybe he sniffs out like a truffle pig where the next championship is going to be. Is it that Orlando? Caldwell Pope, the Magic desperately needed 3-point shooting. They needed veteran leadership in the playoffs. They looked lost against the Cavs. They didn't seem to know what to do. Caldwell Pope brings that to Orlando. I really like the fit. It's going to be really, really good. It's going to be really taxing on the Nuggets now. I don't see them as a championship contender anymore after losing him. They're saying that they're going to put Ryan Braun in that position. I don't see it happening. He's still going to give you pretty good 3-point shooting, pretty good defense, but is he ready to be that leader in the playoffs to check a Michael Porter Jr., to help Jamal Murray find his location? He's still a young pup. It's not going to be ready, so I don't see the Nuggets as championship contenders following their loss of Caldwell Pope. Chris Paul going to the Spurs was shocking to me. There was no whiff of this anywhere. There was no rumblings that this was going to happen. This makes a lot of sense because people did not. This is the lob king. This is the guy that has made a ton of money on commercials and everything else based on his ability to throw lobs to Blake Griffin in Lob City, DeAndre Jordan. He also did it in Phoenix with Mikal Bridges and Tyson Chandler in New Orleans. I can't even think about the amount of players that he's gotten paid because of his ability to throw lobs. So now you got Wemby, you got an actual leader on the court that's going to be able to check these young players. It's going to be able to throw lobs to Wemby in the right spot. And even if he's not playing or if he's injured, he can help. I think it's Trey Jones that's on that team. Figure out how to feed Wemby correctly. And this is going to bump Wemby, I think, next year to All-Star because it's going to get him an extra 5 to 10 points a game. And he already had an outstanding rookie year. So this is a really good pickup. Chris Paul, I don't know. I think at this point his career is just about over. I don't think he has much more to offer. He may not play more than 10 to 15 minutes a game, but just his presence there as an assistant coach on the floor. This may start his career into coaching. I really like the move here. We'll see how it goes. Harden comes back to the Clippers on a deal. This was all done on Sunday. James Harden comes back, 2 years, 70 million. I thought it was 2 years, 60 million. But James Harden, they had to retain him, especially after losing Paul George. They needed some scoring. So now it's going to be the Harden and Kawhi show in LA. It's going to be very interesting to see. Harden is a shell of his former self. He does not play defense. He's never played defense, but he's really lacking in mobility and ability to guard on the perimeter now more than ever, but he can still facilitate offense. He can still score and burst. So we'll see how it does. And the fact that Paul George is not there, more is going to be requested of Harden in terms of carrying the offensive load. We'll see how it goes. Eubanks adds a big. No one cares about Utah. Garza, not a big issue here. Isaiah Joe going back to the Thunder is big. Isaiah Joe is one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, and he adds to this now. And you see the power rankings that I have there on the bottom. The OKC Thunder are right there. They're right there. And keeping Isaiah Joe, who is I want to say the preeminent shooter in the NBA, open shooter. So I don't know, maybe Steph Curry, I would want more than him with an open shot. But Isaiah Joe is an absolute cyborg. And when he gets an open shot, I mean, I could bet my life that it's going to go in. So keeping him is very important for the Thunder. Wiggins, they got another young player. I wasn't entirely impressed with Aaron Wiggins last year, especially playing with him on 2K and just watching him in general. He doesn't really stand out to do anything, but he's a 3-and-D type of player. And he got a 5-year, $50 million deal. So it's a really minimal deal in terms of what the salary cap looks like. So they got a team-friendly deal. Like I said, I don't know much about this kid. I'm just not a big fan. I don't think he moves the needle, but it's good for continuity on OKC, who's going to make a championship push next year. Holiday is coming back. Aaron Holiday, I thought, might leave and get a starting job somewhere, but the market fizzled out. So he's coming back to Houston. He's only getting a $10 million 2-year deal. So he's going to be put in a trade package at some point because the Rockets got the Suns pick. They swapped with the Nets earlier on. So if they make a push for Devin Booker or a push for Kevin Durant, you figure that nice movable contract of Aaron Holiday will be justified into putting into future packages. Melton, this just came out on the wire. It's a 1-year, $13 million deal. Again, Melton has had injury concerns. He's a good player. He can score here and there. I think Golden State is going to unlock different things that he's never known. And I think it's a good pickup, especially after losing Klay Thompson. So I like the deal. This doesn't, for me, make them a championship contender. This is just kind of like a plug in the hole, in a sense, of a sinking ship. The hull is breached, and you have one hole that you've been able to plug. So I don't know what the point of this is. I guess it's to stay competitive. They're still in a newish arena, so we'll see how it goes. This one was sad. I wanted him on the Knicks. Jalen Smith. He played with the Pacers last year. Really good big. He's 6'10", really muscular. He really jumped in his career with the Pacers. Good defender, good shot blocker, good rebounder. He could spread the floor with the three. So it's very hard to find a 3D center, but that's exactly what he is. I like him. He doesn't pass well, but I think with a few minutes, and now he's going to be replacing Andre Drummond behind Vucevic. I like the deal. I like this kid. Let's see how it works in Chicago. DeLon Wright got a bargain deal. I think this is a 1-year, $3 million deal. It's for an NBA player. For me and you, this is a lifetime dream to get $3 million for 1 year. But this is a pennies in the couch type of deal. And Milwaukee's pretty limited in what they could do with their salary cap. It's pretty, they're gonna have to find these lottery tickets and hope that DeLon Wright does something. Doesn't move the needle for me. This is a big one. Knicks were hoping to retain him with a 4-year, $72 million deal with early bird rights. Unfortunately, the biggest thing that happened here was the fact that the open market is able to bypass that offer. And it's unfortunate because the early bird right does not give the Knicks an opportunity. The Knicks would have went over the cap and would have matched this deal if it wasn't for those bird provisions in the CBA. But unfortunately, they're not able to do that. Hartenstein did say originally that he'd be willing to sign a lesser deal if it meant staying in New York. But again, somebody said it, the taxes in New York versus the taxes in OKC are completely different, and I get that. But the vibe is different. He just had a new kid. He's going to get the bag. He's going to secure the bag. Kudos to him. He goes now on a team and adds what they've been sorely missing. This is why the Mavericks beat the hell out of the Thunder last year, was that they didn't have any rebounding. They gave up, like, I remember one possession where I saw they gave up like 7 offensive rebounds in a row. Hartenstein is one of the best rebounding box-out bigs, and if you're going to play for Tibbs, you better rim protect, you better block shots, you better rebound, and Hartenstein can also pass. So I think he's perfect. I think he comes off the bench because he doesn't fit in a 5-out spread offense. So you bring him off the bench when Chet needs a break, or if it's an Embiid or a Joker type of situation, Hartenstein can check them one-on-one and can rebound the ball. I really like this. I like Hartenstein. You put 4 shooters around him. He can pass like he did in LA in the pinch post. He can spread the floor. He's really good on the pick and roll. And he's not shabby in terms of guarding smaller players out on the perimeter. So this is a great deal. This is why I have OKC so high at number 3. I honestly think that they are the best team, and I think they're the team that's going to come out of the West next year. They were the number 1 seed. They didn't have any experience. They get their experience. They lose to the Mavericks, and now they add Hartenstein and Caruso, which solidifies their championship aspirations, as it were. So OKC, by leaps and bounds, are the best team in the West, in my opinion, and are strong favorite to reach the finals. This is weird. This is Tobias Harris going back to Detroit. They gave him a 2-year, $52 million deal. Now, all jokes aside, his agents belong in the Hall of Fame. To get this guy who had 0 points in an elimination game against the Knicks, who seems lost, who seems washed, to get this guy 2 years, $52 million deals, I bow at your feet. Whoever his agents are, please come represent me next time my rent is going to go up, because I can't believe that they gave him this deal. I can't believe that he got this deal. Now they're saying, hey, listen, he doesn't have to defer to Maxey. He doesn't have to defer to Embiid, but he's not the same player he was even in Orlando days. I don't understand this deal. Detroit is just desperate to use their cap space. They only gave him a 2-year deal, so that's the one win that they got, that if things don't work out, and they won't work out, they can move him to another team because it's not an awful contract. But God, 2 years, $52 million for Tobias Harris at this age and the way he produced, awful. Batum, I thought you were retiring. What happened? Nicholas Batum is back. He's playing with the Clippers where he played before. I guess they pulled out some witchcraft and they were able to get him a deal to go back to the Clippers again. This is part of the overhaul that the Clippers did within the salary cap. I really, really like what the Clippers have done this offseason. I know it's not sexy because they lost Paul George, but you're adding Derek Jones, Nicholas Batum. You re-sign Harden. Kawhi, can he stay healthy? Obviously, if Kawhi's not healthy, it defeats the purpose. But Ty Lue has depth, and he works really well with depth. He can plug and play. All these, Nicholas Batum can play 1 to 5. Derek Jones can play 1 to 3. Well, he can't really run the point, but he can guard points. So I really like what the Clippers have done, in spite of the fact that they lost Paul George. They're still not championship contenders, by the way. George going to Sixers. It gives them a big 3 of Maxey, Embiid, and George. I personally think that this allows them to stay in the running with the Celtics and the Knicks at top of the East. I think it's going to be a very interesting pairing. I don't know. Embiid and Paul George are injured more than they play. You need a 3-and-D wing, but you're being forced. This is like getting older and just marrying whoever's in front of you because you don't want to die alone. This feels like George had no other options. He was either this, go to Detroit, or go to a young Orlando team where you're the savior. So he picked a team where he can kind of fit in as the number 2, maybe the number 3 player, and see what he has. But their depth is going to suffer now. Nobody's really doing big threes anymore. Everybody's doing roster depth and versatility. So the Sixers are going against the grain and staying with what teams are doing 5-10 years ago, which is getting the best players, getting the big 3 and filling it out with marginal contracts. With the new CBA, I am not a fan of having 3 max players because your roster and your bench are going to suffer. I don't like this move. However, if Paul George has the healthiest year of his career, Embiid, if he has the healthiest year of his career, if Maxey continues to tread upward on his deal, he just got a max deal, they can win the East. It's possible, but I mean, you're hoping Embiid and George stay healthy, which they never have. So we'll see how it goes. This at least keeps them in the mix of giving them a chance to get out the East. This is again what we talked about before. Maxey reaches his max deal. And the last one, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is going to the Mavericks. Now, I don't know the exact details. Nobody knows of what this trade is ironing out to be. They agreed on the number, but the teams have not agreed on the package. Now, they're talking about Josh Green potentially being in this deal. I don't like that for Dallas. I think you need to keep Josh Green, give up some draft picks instead. Then you can have Quentin Grimes, Josh Green, Klay Thompson, and you can have some versatility because you just lost Derrick Jones. You're going to get Najee Marshall, but, maybe Najee Marshall was meant to back up P.J. Washington in a sense. I don't know. At power forward, I think that's what they're trying to work on. So we'll see how this trade irons itself out. I'm not a fan if you lose Josh Green to Charlotte, but if that's the case and you get Klay Thompson, I feel like it's a push for the Mavericks this year. You lose Derrick Jones, you lose Josh Green, but then you gain Quentin Grimes and Klay Thompson and Najee Marshall. So maybe a slight uptick in the depth of the team, but OKC jumped 10 leagues ahead with Caruso and getting Hartenstein with their number 1 seed already, and the Nuggets losing their starting shooting guard in KCP. So it's going to be very interesting to say the least. I don't know. I have the Mavericks number 2 behind the Thunder. I would not be surprised if it's OKC Thunder number 1, Dallas Mavericks number 2 next year in the Western Conference. We'll see how it goes. Again, the Knicks have upgraded with Mikal Bridges, but losing Hartenstein. The Celtics have re-signed everybody. The Heat, I don't know what the hell they've done, where they're going to be next year. It's going to be interesting. This is free agency. This is the offseason that we live for, so it's very exciting. We'll do another one if there's a multitude of other moves, but more than likely we're going to be just playing games and talking about it like we do normally on the first few minutes while we play 2K. But very interesting offseason so far. I'm excited to see how else this develops and how it shapes the NBA for the next season. In any case, I will see you guys on the next one.